Missouri, Mississippi, and the Battle of Seattle are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is November 30th, 2022. It is the 334th day of the year. There are 31 days left in 2022. Today's the 70th day of fall. You got 21 days left until winter. Today is National Mississippi Day. On November 30th, National Mississippi Day recognizes the home of the Delta Blues and the 20th state to join the Union. How did you learn how to spell Mississippi? Was it the song? Was it that M-I crooked letter, I crooked letter, I humpback, I rhyme? Was it that one, or was it the song? The Mississippi River flows into the Gulf of Mexico along the western boundary of the state and derives its name from a Native American term that means Great River. The blues was developed along the Mississippi Delta in the middle of the 19th century. Within a few decades, blues music had spread through the country, and eventually the world. Both the American Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement in the 1960s created uncertain, turbulent, and violent times in Mississippi. Even though the Civil War brought about freedom for enslaved people, the war pretty much destroyed Mississippi as far as economy goes and loss of houses and loss of lives. They took it pretty hard. Out of all the states, I think they were probably hit the worst from the Civil War. All right. Let's see what else November 30th has given us. 1707, Queen Anne's War. The second siege of Pensacola comes to an end. Basically, the British Empire, along with Creek Indian allies, failed to capture Pensacola in Spanish Florida. 1782, the American Revolutionary War. The Treaty of Paris. In Paris, representatives from the United States and Great Britain signed the preliminary peace articles, which would later be formalized as the 1783 Treaty of Paris. So this didn't go as most, let's say, treaties go. When someone surrenders, which Britain did, they agreed to bring the war to an end, there's usually like reparations. You got to pay for this. There's something that has to be exchanged for kind of putting the other country through this, sort of like the spoils of war. There wasn't much of that in this. Even France, who came to the aid and kind of combined forces with the United States or the colonies at the time, they were excluded from the treaty negotiations that the British and the American colonies had. This created a problem. See, back in those days, France should have got something out of this deal. Like the British were the losers, spoils of war. Part of their reparations should have been, I'm just like Nova Scotia. Here, have Nova Scotia. Take it from Canada. It's yours. Sorry about the misunderstanding with the whole Revolutionary War thing. That's sort of how it should have gone. Well, the United States did their whole treaty negotiation and France was kind of left out. Now here's where it gets rough. We had to explain that to France. And who better to do that but probably the smartest man in the United States and one of our best statesmen, Benjamin Franklin. He wrote, which is considered by most people, the best letter he'd ever written. And this man wrote hundreds and hundreds of letters to different politicians and different heads of state around the world. In the letter, he apologized to the French for negotiating without him and not getting him anything, and went on, and he's so sorry, and it's a beautiful letter. And in that letter, he goes, oh, and by the way, we need more money to help rebuild and do other things. And he got the money. That right there is the greatest letter ever. Another strange thing about the whole Treaty of Paris is British didn't recognize the United States as a whole. They recognized each colony as an individual country. And the British kind of, in a way, they just kind of gave in to a lot of the demands the United States did have, and they said okay to a lot of things because they knew they had a very powerful trading partner. The United States had a lot of resources, or the colonies at the time, but North America had a lot of resources that could be traded. And that was a good thing for the British. 1803, in New Orleans, Spanish representatives officially transferred the Louisiana Territory to an official from the French First Republic. Just 20 days later, France transfers the same land to the United States as the Louisiana Purchase. 1900, a German engineer patents front-wheel drive automobiles. 1939, World War II, the Soviet Red Army crosses the Finnish border in several places and bombs Helsinki and several other Finnish cities. starting the Winter War. 1972, the Vietnam War. The House Press Secretary Ron Ziegler tells the press that there will be no more public announcements concerning American troop withdrawals from Vietnam because troop levels are now down to about 27,000. 1981, the Cold War. In Geneva, representatives from the United States and the Soviet Union begin to negotiate intermediate-range nuclear weapon reductions in Europe. 1995, U.S. President Bill Clinton visits North Ireland and speaks in favor of the North Ireland peace process to a huge rally he calls the IRA fighters yesterday's men. 1999, the Battle of Seattle. In Seattle, demonstrations against the World Trade Organization meeting by anti-globalization protesters catch police unprepared and force the cancellation of the opening ceremonies and, eventually, the resignation of Seattle's police chief. Movies released on November 30th, 1990, one of Stephen King's greatest movies, Misery. This is based on the 1987 novel of the same name by Stephen King. The film follows a psychotic fan who holds her favorite author captive in her house and forces him to write another story. Rob Reiner directed this film. Kathy Bates won an Academy Award for Best Actress. She also won a Golden Globe for her performance in this movie, too. It's a pretty gnarly movie. It's not jump scary, like, things jumping out at you and evil things coming out of a pet cemetery, things like that. It's just about a nut job. Great movie, though. Born on November 30th, 1965, Ben Stiller, actor, comedian, director, producer, and voice actor who won an Emmy Award for The Ben Stiller Show. That was a pretty good show. It didn't last that long, only a few years, but it was in the early days of Fox TV. So the show started in 1990 on MTV, and in 1991 it went over to Fox. Then it finally ended in 1993. But the show had Ben Stiller, Andy Dick, Janine Garofalo, Bob Odenkirk, Judd Apatow, David Cross. The theme music was done by Frank Zappa's kid, Dweezil Zappa. It was a pretty good show. I was sad to see it go off the air. I met Ben Stiller at a comedy club one night, talking late 90s. He's really short. I didn't think he was... I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'9". He's maybe 5'6" if he's lucky. Nice guy, though. Pleasant. Only talked to him for a few minutes, but pleasant guy. Died on November 30th, 2018, George H.W. Bush, the 41st president of the United States, who also served as the vice president and a congressman and an ambassador and director of the CIA. He also served in World War II. His son, George W. Bush, served as the 43rd president of the United States. Those two are only the second pair of father and sons to be presidents. The other ones? John Adams and John Quincy Adams. A lot of people didn't like him as president. I thought he was okay. I kind of liked George H.W. Bush as a president. President Bush died at his home on November 30th, 2018. He was 94 years old. He was the oldest living president. He was the first one to make it to 94 at the time. Jimmy Carter has since passed that. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.